Hello, my lovely listeners. I'm Dr. Mary Barson.
And I'm Dr. Lucy Burns. Welcome to this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss.
Hello, lovely listeners. Dr. Mary here, and I am joined by the fabulous Dr. Lucy Burns. Dearest Lucy, how are you, my fabulous friend?
Well, Vance, as we're recording this, we are smack bang in the middle of the roadshow. So I will confess to feeling a tiny bit weary. It's one of those things that it is the highs and the lows. Like there's so much excitement, so much build up to it. You do it, and then there's this sort of little letdown. And then before you even get time to recover, we're gearing back up again, and then we're going all over again. And then there's a little letdown, and But, you know, in fact, it's sort of, in some ways, it's a little bit like the diet roller coaster, the up and downs. But overall, the very long-winded answer is that I'm very well, thank you.
Yes, I'm very pleased to hear that. I'm finding it surprisingly tiring. Awesome, like you said. I don't know why it's surprising. You know, putting on a series of conferences around Australia, packing all the goodie bags, traveling all around the country, carting my children, you know, being on all the time, all of that lovely meeting and greeting and all the fabulous connection. When I say it now, it's really obvious that I find it tiring, but actually that element of it has hit me a little bit by surprise.
Yes, I think, well, you and I are very much optimists. We always just go, it'll be all right. And it is. And I mean, seriously, I think the cup filling that occurs on the day of the conferences with the connection and just the, you know, you and I have spoken about this, the dinner. We have a dinner with our Momentum members, so all the people that are doing our program that continues on after the 12-week. Beautiful, most magnificent bunch of women. And, you know, you get to the end of the conference and you're a tiny bit tired, but oh my God, that is the biggest cup filling exercise I've ever done.
I'm getting filled with oxytocin and happy hormones now, just thinking about those lovely dinners with those fabulous women. It is really good. Yes. And we've got another one this weekend. So
I know. So there we go. So the interesting thing, you know, as you mentioned, we are doing a lot of traveling and we're out of routine. And for a lot of people, this would be something that might, you know, be their undoing. And I think you and I have both achieved what we refer to frequently as food freedom. And for me, in fact, why don't I ask you the question instead of just talking about myself all the time? What does that mean for you, Mez? What do you think of as food freedom?
Food freedom for me is being free from sugar cravings, for being in complete control of my food choices rather than food controlling me, and just knowing that I can make healthy, lovely, nourishing choices that nourish my body and it's lovely, and then it's done, and then I'm not hungry again until the next mealtime. I can walk through the supermarket past all of the chips and chocolates and ice cream. I can see birthday cake at a party. I can be out of my routine. I can be traveling. I can be at restaurants. And I am just able to choose the foods that work for me, able to enjoy the foods that work for me, able to do intermittent fasting when it works for me. And I'm just free of all this stress and worry. And I know that my body is healthy and I'm nourishing it and I'm nurturing it. And it's lovely.
Yeah. The way I look at it, there's two elements to food freedom. So one is the concept that, you know, the chit chat, the chatter, for me, the chatter. Will I, won't I, have a bit, don't have a bit, go on, just a bit. No, you're not having any, you know, this constant back and forth, that's gone. But the other thing that I think happens for many of our members, and I know certainly we've talked about it a lot, is also the freedom to accept yourself as you are, that you can't hate yourself thin.
No.
So
absolutely.
And it doesn't mean that you're stuck staying where you are, but it means that you accept your inner self.
Love yourself as you are right now, knowing that you are enough right now, and at the same time, work towards better health if that is something you both want and need to do.
Absolutely. And this is what we always talk about. And weight loss comes along for the ride. It really is. I mean, the big thing is that weight gain, fat storage, obesity, whatever phrase you want to use, overweight, that's a symptom. It's a symptom of something underneath, which, as you know, we talk about, well, it's a symptom of often disordered physiology. So insulin resistance, all of the hormones, leptin resistance, but also often a sign that the psychology, the psyche, there's something not in balance there as people emotionally eat, soothe with food, use food for many, many other things other than nourishment. And then the withholding of food becomes punishment.
Food freedom for me is exactly that. It's knowing that I'm healing my physiology or nourishing and nurturing my physiology as well as nourishing and nurturing my psychology. And it's done with love, self-kindness, with no feelings of deprivation. I could eat the birthday cake. I just don't want to. I'm like, meh, no. And that is a beautiful place to be.
Absolutely. It really is. It's like, in fact, one of our beautiful members described it on the weekend. She goes, I can't get over. She goes, what it feels like. I walk down the chip aisle and it feels like it's the same as walking down the pet food aisle. Like, I'm just not interested.
I love that.
I loved that too. I thought, oh my God. She goes, there's packets, there's colours, there's shiny things, but I'm not going to eat pet food and I'm not going to eat those chips.
It's a beautiful analogy.
Isn't it? That was brilliant.
That's good. I can distinctly remember the first time I could walk past the ice cream in the freezer section of the supermarket and not want it. Like, it was quite an extraordinary moment. And that was, I just had reached this sort of healing state in my physiology and managing my psychology that I walked past the ice cream and I didn't want it. And it was actually astounding to me because normally my brain would be just looking at going, eat the ice cream, get the dopamine, eat the ice cream, get the dopamine. But no, it was great. And now I can still do that.
Yeah. Do you know what mine used to do? Mine would walk past it. And this is, again, back in diet days where, you all know I was the queen of dieting. So I'd walk past it and my brain would go, you're not having that. And you're so good for not doing that. You're so virtuous. You are just such a, and I would just be sort of basking in this sort of pseudo superiority complex with my massive willpower. But the flip side of that, of course, is if I'm therefore not virtuous, then I was bathed in shame when I wasn't doing it, when I was careering down the road of life on the other side of the road, which was, of course, the flip side.
Yep.
So for me, for me, food freedom, that's actually a tongue twister.
It is hard to say.
Yeah. For me, food freedom is two things. It is the idea that I no longer career down the road of life, either perfect, restricted, in this ridiculous virtuous cycle of dieting, or on a bender, scoffing, hiding, binging, full of shame, getting fatter and thinking, I don't know what to do because I don't want to go back to being perfect because that's so hard. And then getting to the point where, I practically drove off the cliff of the road. Whereas now I feel like I'm down the middle of the road, just in lane assist, little tweaks here and there. It feels so good. And the result of that is that my weight has now been stable for 5 years. All my clothes, I just go in and know they're going to fit. I just know they are. I used to have that thing, oh God, it was just debilitating. You go in, want to wear something and it wouldn't fit, or it was tight, or it was, in fact, or you just couldn't get the zip up. And it was like, it was so depressing. So
it's that cognitive load too. It's just better things that you could expend your mental energy on.
Yeah, than trying on 16 outfits to find one that actually fitted, that you were vaguely happy with. And in fact, I've talked about it once before where I actually just didn't go out because I couldn't find anything that would fit that I was also then comfortable enough to wear. And I just remember just saying to my husband, I'm just not going.
That's the opposite of freedom.
It is, isn't it? It is. It's the opposite. And now I just go, oh, good. And in fact, I wear my clothes out. Like, yeah, I never used to do that. I grow out of them.
Yeah.
But I'd never wear them out.
Yeah. So it's like you use that analogy of lane assist. So you're cruising down the road the way that you want to go, in the direction that you want to go. And yeah, short little adjustments here and there, but generally you're keeping straight, compared to, the diet roller coaster, which is this horrible ride where you get thrown around, up, down, all over the place. You've got no control, and there's a really, really unpleasant place to live. And you just have expressed that beautifully, that you had your old diet days, where it was just all about that emotional and physical roller coaster. And now just cruising down the path, going where you want, the way you want.
Absolutely. And I never feel deprived, never, ever. When people go, it's so restricting. Like, I just think it's just not. Like, the restriction comes from your thoughts about the food. So if you spend your time wishing and longing for cake or ice cream, you will feel deprived. But we can also change the way we think about cake or ice cream or whatever it is, and turn it into something different. So not the thing I was doing, which was just using willpower and feeling so bloody pious about it. Seriously, I had the highest horse that I was gallivanting around on during that. But of course, if you're so pious and sanctimonious, then there's a long way to fall.
And then you were hiding under the table. It's so low. You were.
Yeah, so low, just scoffing as much food as I could before I had to climb up that high horse again and gallivant around in piety and perpetuity.
Mm. Oh,
yes.
Beautiful human. How do people get this food freedom, this physiological and psychological freedom?
Well, most definitely we do need to address our physiology. So, if you're insulin resistant and your body is fueling on glucose only or carbohydrate only because it can't access its fat stores. So the fat stores are what fuel it when you've run out of glucose. And normally, even people that are metabolically flexible, they would eat, they'd use up all that fuel by, walking around and thinking with their big, beautiful brain. And then their body would just dip in and start burning some fat. But when you're insulin resistant, it can't dip in. So you start to get a bit hangry and a bit tired. And so you get your brain fog. So you go and eat. And that's what happens. And so you're constantly hungry and tired. So we most definitely need to address that first. But also by doing that, there's two things that happen. One, I think that having fat back in your diet, and again, most of us, I grew up in the low-fat Diet Coke, Tab, Cola world. Fat was the enemy. And so and it doesn't have to be truckloads, but having fat in your diet is so satiating. It's so, I don't know, it's fulfilling.
Yes, it is. And it's good for you.
Yeah.
For you. Helps you absorb all those nutrients, and it's got good nutrients, and we do, in fact, require it for good health. I remember feeling shame in a home economics class in year 8. It would have been year 8, home economics, when we were being taught the dietary guidelines and how to make a healthy meal. And my home ec teacher told me you should not be eating more than 2 tablespoons of fat a day at the absolute maximum. So if you have butter on your toast, you are done for the day. That's it. And then I was just like thinking, I had butter on my toast. I'm a bad human. I really do remember internalizing that message, thinking, no wonder I'm so chubby.
Yeah.
Not pleasant. Now I'd have 1 to 2 tablespoons of fat with each meal, probably. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but about that.
Absolutely. Because fat, it literally fills you and fulfills you. So certainly, moving away from that, and again, diet culture, like my brain, it's fill up on stuff. So you'd fill up on a glass of water, and then you'd fill up on the biggest bowl of lettuce that you could find. So, it became this sort of volume competition, and there'd be a small amount of meat. And in fact, I was vegetarian for about 3 years because I thought protein made you fat. So deluded, so deluded. So yeah, absolutely focusing on that. And then we kind of move into, I guess, the psychology of things, so that you can do the things that you need to do which not only include food and nutrition, but as you know, and we've talked about it before, the other things that affect our metabolic hormones include sleep in particular, stress management,
gut health.
Those are also important. And the way that you learn to implement all of this knowledge, that's what we call the mindset. And mindset doesn't change overnight. Like, it honestly doesn't. It would be nice if it did, if you could just flip a switch to go from, wishing and longing in, hoping, to just doing. But you build on it.
Yep, incrementally. And it takes time. And it's much easier, the way that we humans work. It is much easier to make those changes when you have your tribe and you're surrounded by other people working towards the same goals or having the same values. It is quite difficult if you completely stick out and nobody around you is following the same ideals, the same, nourishing nutrition or intermittent fasting or all of these beautiful steps that you're taking towards improving your physiology. If other people around you aren't doing it, it's lonely and it's harder. You need support.
Absolutely. In fact, I was talking to one of a beautiful person just the other day about a friend. So they go to, I can't remember if it was trivia or bingo. They go somewhere together. And the friend's going, well, what are you going to eat? And she goes, well, I don't know. I'll just order a steak and, I'll tell them no chips and I won't have the bread roll and then I won't have the potato. But, if there's broccoli or and she goes, right. Oh, how boring. And then she goes, and what about dessert? What are you going to have for dessert? And it was like she was getting the grilling, the Spanish Inquisition on what this lady was going to eat. And it was like, isn't that so interesting that this other person is so interested in what our member is eating? And it's like, and she was just trying to do some little bit of undermining in there. So, in there, it's like, what if there's no vegetables? You can't just have steak. It's like,
yes, you can.
You actually can. If you want to, of course you can. If you want to not have the vegetables that night, don't. You're the boss of you. What are you going to have for sweets? The friend's going, what are you going to eat? She goes, oh, well, I probably won't need any by then. Oh, you've got to live. Just all of that stuff. You've got to live. It's like, yeah, you do got to live. And if you're going to live, you need to nourish your body.
And have beautiful food freedom. At our Momentum dinner on the weekend, I remember we had all this beautiful banquet, all this delicious protein. There was some salad, there were veggies. It was all amazing. And then dessert was included. And our waiter came out to sort of take our dessert menu. And I was like, we probably don't, but I'm not going to speak for everyone. If somebody wants to have some dessert here, like they're allowed to, no judgment, And I sort of asked around. Nobody wanted dessert, and we were all so happy and pleased and thrilled to say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
We're done.
And honestly, we also sent back the chips because we were full up to pussy's bow with this beautiful Greek banquet of seafood and lamb koftas and beef kebabs, and it was just amazing.
It was. No baklava required.
No. So I think for me, definitely food freedom is the idea that I no longer rely on food to manage my emotions. I also know that it doesn't matter how bad my day is, I won't be diving into 10 bags of M&Ms. Look, I ate a ton of lollies. They were cheap. They're cheap. They're everywhere. One lady was saying to me the other day, I used to eat 5 bags a week. And I'm thinking, oh, God, I probably ate 2 a day. Like I'd probably, because, 99 cents, oh, well, 2 for $1.50, better buy a few then. All of that sort of stuff. And I just scoffed them, hide the packet, and it was like that never happened. So, yeah.
Yep, that's right. And hide it down the bin, so like push it down and put some other rubbish on top so like no one can see it. No, didn't happen. I used to do that. Don't do that anymore.
No. I think we've, learnt the skills, and there are skills needed, skills learnt. So, understanding your beautiful brain, as you know, but also then understanding what can you do when you're stressed and you're beside yourself, and your normal tool or your only tool was to eat ice cream or, drive to Macca's or soothe with food. If that was your only tool, then you just need some new tools.
Yes.
That's all.
Yeah.
And Do you know what? So I was just having a little look through Instagram the other day and Yelena Dokic's feed came up. She posted 2 pictures of herself. One when she was at her tennis peak and, she was obviously very lean, very fit. And most people now know that she lives in a bigger body. And she was talking about her trauma. And she has endured an enormous amount of trauma. And the thing that she was saying is that people judge her thinking she's let herself go. How have you let yourself go was what the phrase was. And it's really just recognizing that for her, part of her healing and the way she has managed this overwhelming, just unbearable trauma was soothing with food. There is nothing like that's not a crime.
No.
It's not a crime. And this is the bit we always say, you haven't murdered anyone, haven't ripped off old ladies, you haven't set up an internet scam where you're a prince from Nigeria. You haven't done anything bad. There is nothing to have shame for. It's just that if you want to change what's happening for you, then you need some skills.
Yeah, you do. And one of the skills is to let go of the shame, because you cannot hate yourself thinner or berate yourself well. You need skills to deal with distressing emotions, to deal with difficulty without medicating with unhelpful foods, and you need skills to cultivate your self-kindness and your self-compassion. And if you can do this, your brain becomes a much nicer place in which to inhabit.
Absolutely. So this, my loves, is everything we teach you in the 12-week mind-body rebalance.
Yeah.
The doors to the wait list open very soon on the 18th of May. If you're on the wait list, you will be getting emails from us. But people that are on the wait list also have access to a whole pile of bonuses and a discount. So if you want to join the 12-week mind-body rebalance, get yourself on the wait list because you'll get the bonuses. Not on the list, no bonuses.
It's our most generous waitlist bonus season ever.
Yeah, we've gone all out because, again, we do recognise there's some, tough times around and people are worried. But what happens when people are worried too is they also, when people get worried, they eat. And so it's like, right, well, if we need to be coming up with the skills, this is the exact right time to be going, okay, I need to do something about this before I end up sick and before I end up needing lots of medications, which just add to the cost of living and they're expensive. This is just a beautiful way to rebalance your beautiful physiology and your mind. So it's perfect.
The 12-week mind-body rebalance has got this beautiful course content. Check out the website. You can learn more about it, but we teach you all about how to do real food and how to do it well and how to navigate those trickier situations like eating out, how to manage your beautiful mind, lots of mindset skills and mindset training and live online mindset coaching. You get training on it, like teaching and empowered to manage your stress, to do practical, really doable, simple things, powerfully simple things to improve your gut health, to improve your sleep, to improve your stress management, to be able to implement safe intermittent fasting and all of the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle for physiological health, underpinned and completely complemented by all of these psychological skills that we teach and that we empower you with throughout the whole process. So you get this beautiful course, you get this wonderful coaching, and also this fabulous community, which is arguably the most powerful part of it.
Absolutely. Because really, at the end of the day, we want you to turn your knowledge, your knowing, into doing in a way that will work for you, not just, and people think, is it a challenge, for 12 weeks? It's not a challenge. It's a learning program that you will then implement for the rest of your life. So you don't just do 12 weeks and see you later. Some people do like to come back to us, and that's fine because, it's a bit like going, I did Italian lessons for a long, long time. I learned Italian. I went to Italy. I was all in. Then, things got busy. And last year I went back to Italian class. So, I just revisited, learned my lessons again.
That's right. That's me and piano. Absolutely.
Yep. And for those people who go, I don't know if I'm ready for the 12-week yet, you know what? We've got like a little taster. So the little taster is our 7-day challenge. So that is a challenge as opposed to the 12 weeks, which is a learning platform. It's 7 days for $7. And in it, you get a mini course. So it's a little, low carb taster. To put that in. Sorry, yep. Total dad joke. Sorry,
you're totally allowed to.
Yeah. Low carb taster, 7 days for $7, and that starts May the 20th. And you can just sign up for that. We'll obviously put the links in the show notes, and it'll be on the front page of our website. And you just sign up for that at allthewsrlmedicine.com/real food. For those of you who have done the no sugar challenge, it is the same challenge, but we're just changing the emphasis slightly. It is still about reducing and potentially eliminating sugar, but in focusing rather than on what you're not having, on what you are having.
Yes, which can be a useful little mindset skill. And for those beautiful people who want to go straight to the 12-week Mind Body Rebalance waitlist, you get the low carb real food, the 7-day low carb real food challenge as an added free bonus if you buy with the waitlist. That's rlmedicine.com/12WMBR stands for 12-week Mind Body Rebalance.
Yep. And it's all in capitals, or you can just click the link in the show notes. Or, as I said, it's also on our front page of our website because, we don't want people to be fossicking around looking. But, yes, the 12 WMBR, we love calling it that, 12-week mind-body rebalance. So, gorgeous ones, we would love to see you on the inside, getting your ticket to food freedom.
Ticket to food freedom for everyone.
Indeed. All right, darlings, we will catch you next week. So, my lovely listeners, that ends this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss. I'm Dr. Lucy Burns.
And I'm Dr. Mary Barson. We're from Real Life Medicine. To contact us, please visit rlmedicine.com.
And until next time, thanks for listening. The information shared on the Real Health and Weight Loss podcast, including show notes and links, provides general information only. It is not a substitute, nor is it intended to provide individualised medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor can it be construed as such. Please consult your doctor for any medical concerns.